Hi, so this is going to be for you an overview of the Garmin Fenix or Fenix 3 HR watch, and I've just started off by putting some stuff down here for you just to see comparisons of size. So you've obviously got a ruler there, a pencil. This is my normal watch, if you like, my non-running watch. A lot of people moan about the size. I haven't found it a problem at all whatsoever. This is a Fitbit Charge HR, and what I'll do at some point is compare the two, because there are some interesting differences. It's not a clear one thing, but there we are. That's just a little bit of a comparison just to start off with in terms of size. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. I've done a great review on this watch, by the way. It is fantastic. Go and check my other videos. It's really just, anyway, we're not talking about that today, much as I'd like to. Right, Fenix 3 HR comes in a box, unsurprising. I'm not going to bother opening the box. It's a box, you get stuff in it. And it comes with a manual, which is really not worth anything. And it also comes with a USB charging cable. Now, in the UK, I can show you how the watch sits in there if you like. On the back, you've got little contacts there which match into that, and it just, I think you put that side in first, in it clips, and then you plug it in and it charges itself. In the UK, you don't get, press a little thing on the side there, and it pops out quite nicely. Charging thing. As I keep trying to say, in the UK, you don't actually get a 3-pin adapter, which is a little bit frustrating, but would I plugged it into the mains? I don't know. And I've got lots of 3-pin adapters around anyway if I wanted 2 USB adapters. So why did I get this? Well, I got this primarily because the Fitbit didn't give me pace of my run and some other sorts of bits and bobs. And I thought I would run through my experience of it with you. I've had it for just over a week now. I used it on a daily basis and run extensively with it, including 2 half marathons so far, several 5Ks and other bits and bobs. It is a multi-sport watch. It comes out the box in one version. It's a little bit confusing because they also do a Fenix 3, of course, without the HR. Now, the difference being that this has got an inbuilt heart rate monitor on the back. I need to get that working for you, just so you can see what it looks like. So that should come on now. There we go. So it's got an inbuilt heart rate monitor on the back. Unlike any of the other Fenix range watches, which is their top of the range, and Garmin obviously do a wide selection of devices. This is the top of the range GPS watch. I say top of the range because it's a little bit confusing, because they also do one without the wrist-based heart rate monitor, which has a couple of additional features, but those additional features are merely tactical features, i.e. if you use it out in the field in terms of military exercises, the display is readable with night vision goggles, etc. Not interesting, or not interested from my point of view. What I am interested in was the wrist-based heart rate monitor, and we'll come on to that in due course. So a little bit more about the watch itself. They all come with a crystal display, a very nice clear crystal display, slightly domed apparently. I can't necessarily see that myself, but slightly domed. The display in real life never looks quite as good as the flashy pictures that you get, and I've angled it now so you've got lots of light shining on it, but it never really looks quite as good. But it's still a very good display. It's got 5 buttons. The only thing the manual in the box really is helpful for is telling you how to turn it on, which is that button there where my thumb is. So yours should be off when you get it, and holding that down should then boot it up if you like. And that's quite a useful thing to know. Let's just do the rest of the outside first. Nice smooth silicone strap, relatively high quality. I haven't cleaned it since I went for a run this morning, I'm afraid. Relatively high quality, nice and soft. I've had no problems with rubbing at all. It's been absolutely fine from that point of view. This bezel round here is a metal bezel. It also acts as the antenna for the GPS. Straight out the bat, I would say that my summary would be it's utterly, utterly brilliant. But the thing about Garmin, now this this will cost as much, more than the entry-level Apple Watch. So that's the kind of price range you're talking about here. I actually got this, well, it's bonkers really. In fact, I had two of them at a very, very special deal, and I sold one, which paid for this one. So you know, absolutely bonkers. But normally you'd pay an awful lot of money for one of these, the same kind of price, like I said, as an entry range or more than an entry range Apple Watch. The difference fundamentally is this is a huge bundle of technology, but I'm not sure Garmin are as good yet as they could be on the kind of user side of things. You know, so the manual is a good example. There's a little manual that comes in the box, which doesn't really tell you much more than how to turn it on. You can search and find an online manual, which again doesn't really tell you an awful lot. It leaves out an awful lot of detail, but that's because I think to write about everything in this watch would end up with a manual that was so thick that you wouldn't read it. You'd be put off anyway. You can look at the specs for the weight, but I've not noticed in terms of heaviness. It's just not heavy at all. You've seen I've got the light set to come on automatically there. Let's put him off. So lovely daylight shining there, but actually if you're in a situation where there isn't much daylight, you might think, oh, it's a bit, let's get it up there for you and have a little bit. Let's see how dark I can make this for you. So, you know, a little bit hard to see, but actually you put the light on and bam, no problems at all. So in all sorts of visibility situations, this is fine. I set the light to come on with wrist movements. He says, it's not coming on. But normally it works fine when it's on my wrist. And as I move my wrist, the light comes on, and also it stays on. If I press any button, the light will come on too. Right, so it's a multi-sport watch. So it does all sorts of sports. Let's begin on the software. Swimming would be a thing which I haven't tried. Of course, it is waterproof. You can swim with it, which is pretty fantastic, really. It does have a built-in temperature sensor, but as it's so close to your skin, it's not something which is, you know, for much use apart from telling you approximately how hot your skin is. But you can take it off and leave it somewhere, and then it'll give you the ambient temperature too. It's got everything. The way they kind of break the watch up in terms of its functionality is what they call apps. And apps are things that track what you do as you're doing them, activities, if you like. I mean, they've got activities as well, which is the result of an app. Yep. So the result of an app is an activity. So running on a treadmill. Okay, there's an app I'll show you in a minute for running on a treadmill. Now, all the results that come out of that is called an activity. So you could set it to monitor your swimming. All the results that come out is an activity. So it's got apps, which is different types of things you do. It's got activities, which are the result of all those things. It's then got widgets, and it takes a while to get your head around all this stuff. The widgets are merely displays of a point in time, if you like, and what's happening right now at this second. So if you look at the widgets that are on here, I'll give you an example of what a widget is first of all. That's kind of a compass and barometer and altimeter widget. Pop the light on again so you can see that a bit better. Which is just, you know, showing a few things there. Another widget would be, oh, that's my daily score this morning. I only did about 6K just now, so not that many steps so far. Another widget is heart rate monitor. So again, it's I don't know why it's got that heart rate, because I'm not even wearing the silly thing. Resting heart rate, and again, you can kind of go deeper into widgets to kind of look at your heart rate over time and stuff if you want to. I'll tell you about the buttons in a minute. And then there's another widget measuring different bits and bobs, another widget measuring different bits and bobs, temperature widget, oh, there we are, and because I'm not wearing the watch, it's given a fairly accurate ambient temperature reading, and back to the compass widget, and then back to the watch. So you've got those widgets, and it comes with a load of widgets built in. You can delete them, or you can add them, or you can change them. Absolutely everything on this thing is completely configurable, which is marvelous. So you see my watch face, for example, I've just got one big time because I don't see too well. So I just want to be able to see the time very quickly, very easily. That's absolutely fine. But you can, of course, get watch faces which have all sorts of data in minute detail. You can have those pilot watch type faces with lots of little dials on them. You can just do what you want to represent all sorts of things. You can configure absolutely everything. So those are the widgets which just you can install. You can also go to the Garmin website either by plugging this into your computer or by using the app that comes with a smartphone, Android and iOS. Is there a Windows one? I don't know. And you can download lots of different types of widgets. That's getting widgets out the way, because people do get confused about those things. Now, widgets, of course, use data, and data is captured in data fields, and data fields are also used as part of your apps. Now, give you an example of that. We had the temperature app, the temperature widget just now, which kind of showed you what the ambient temperature was. Well, that's a point in time right now what the temperature is. That's during an activity, during one of your apps, say it was either swimming or it was running or something else, that temperature field is also gathered in data. So it's also there available as an output from your app in terms of an activity. So you've got these concepts which are hard to get your mind around. You've got apps, which are things you do. You've got widgets, which are kind of a snapshot of a point in time right now. And both of those are populated by data fields. And that gets important to know if you come to a point later on where you want to have specific tailored data fields that you want to download for yourself or configure your own kind of data fields, which you can do if you want to. So okie dokie, right. Got the time, and again, you can display anything you want. You can configure hugely the watch faces. You can go online and get different types of watch faces. Like I said, it's a very different display to something like the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, very bright, very resilient kind of electronic display. Not so much on here. A lot of the pictures that you'll see online have beautiful colors in them. But as I think I showed you, if you go to so the compass. Let me turn the light off. So it's okay, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's kind of an LCD type display as opposed to the much more active, vibrant displays you get on an Apple Watch. But consequently, the battery in this will last you. I use it like a crazy freak with the light on all the time and all sorts of things turned on, and it lasts me 5 days easily. And I could string that out quite easily. And the lights popping on and off all the time, as I say, and I've just been playing with it constantly to learn about it. So now you can't get a day out of an Apple Watch without needing to charge the silly thing. So from that point of view, they're completely different. This, of course, has got a GPS built into it. So it's a whole different kettle of fish. Right, so let's look at some of the apps then. So in order to get to an app, you then press, silly boy, you then press that button top right, okay? And then it runs through the different types of apps that you've got. These are the ones I've got. I don't know, treadmill and run indoor. Not sure why I've got those. But these are the different apps I've got loaded on the watch at the moment. Let's go back up to the top. Walk, 5K run. And the beauty is you can configure these apps. I'll start off an app for you. So treadmill, for example, quite easy. That's the field I've got up there. It's saying it's waiting to detect a heart rate. It's not really going to do that at the moment. Never mind. But you can start that. The timer starts. It won't give me a pace, or it shouldn't give me a pace because I'm not doing anything. It won't give me a distance because I'm not doing anything. And what I've done, for example, in setting this up specifically, is I've got it to tell me each kilometre what my average pace was along that kilometre. So it'll do that. The screen then goes black and it tells me. And also every 5 minutes, I've told it to bleep and tell me to drink. Now if I press it again, it kind of stops it. And then it'll ask me right now, so do you want to resume? I can scroll down. Do you want to save that result? Do you want to discard it? Do you want to resume later, which means you can just kind of keep it and maybe resume at another point in time. If you're going for a long walk, say, I actually want to discard it, so I'll just discard it. Yeah, let's just get rid of it. So that then kind of gets deleted from the watch. Otherwise, it would keep it, and it would then synchronize it with my app. If I load my app, it synchronizes via Bluetooth. If I'm actually connected to my Wi-Fi network, you can set it up so it synchronizes with the central Garmin database that you can access online through the wireless network, which is quite cool too. So that's that particular app. Now I'll take you through some other functions in terms of how to and what you can do in terms of configuring those apps. This button in the middle here, if you hold it in, it'll take you to a menu function. And we'll go through some of the settings, and I'll tell you what they mean before I go to the settings up there, because that's kind of where the stuff happens. There's a training menu, which I haven't used much yet, which kind of logs your workouts. You can set a training calendar. It's quite easy to do it online, actually. If you want interval training, you can configure intervals. If you like setting yourself targets, and if you want to race a particular activity, you can configure all that stuff in there, which is quite good. There's a back button just down there. It takes a little while to get used to the buttons, but honestly, within 5 minutes, you'll be whizzing around the place. Clock will obviously take you in and will configure the clock however you want it displayed. Save location, again, if it's quite a good navigation device. I haven't used it for navigation apart from tracking and accurately mapping my runs. Haven't done that, but you can save your current location if you want to. Navigation, that really, again, part of if you want to plot routes and follow routes, etc. I don't really do that. History, exactly what it says, taking through some of the history of what you've done on your watch. Your stats is all about you. So let's get back to settings then, which is kind of where a lot of stuff happens. So if I go into settings and I select things up here with this button at the top on the right, let's look at the different areas and settings before we go into apps, because apps, of course, is the big one. Watch face, we looked at clock earlier, where you kind of configure the time and the clock, etc. Watch face is where you design your watch face, and you can make it look however you want. So I've just gone for a digital one, and then there's a whole range of digital ones. Background color you can set, the accent color, which is basically the color of texts. The layout, which is what's on and where it is. The style of seconds, additional data that you might want on your watch face, and status icons, which kind of reveals things like whether Bluetooth's connected, etc., etc. Widgets, again, I spoke to you earlier on about what the widgets were, which is kind of like a snap point of where you are at this moment in time, whether it be temperature, whether it be altimeter, whether it be steps, etc. My day I've got turned on heart rates, so I can go through a widget, shows my heart rate, steps, I can see how many steps I've done, my calories burned, compass I've hidden, altimeter I've hidden, barometer I've hidden, temperature I show, ABC I show because that's altimeter, barometer and compass. And you think, well, yeah, why wouldn't you stick them all on the same one? A slight note while we're here on altimeter, well, and barometer really, because both of those things are pressure sensitive. Now, it's not just a fault of the Garmin's, it's a fault of anything which tries to predict your height above sea level based on pressure changes, because other things affect pressure, atmospheric pressure, apart from you going up and down. And of course, that can then fool or trick. The nice thing about this is that you can triangulate, or you can tell it to triangulate it with the GPS to make sure that it isn't going to give you false results, which is quite good. So you don't get then, if you set that, you don't get those silly errors. Verb, if you've got a verb, which I haven't, so I don't need that. That's a kind of a separate Garmin device which you can control from the watch. Music controls, not bothered with that. If you want to control your music from the watch, Not bothered with that at all. Weather, well, I just kind of look around me and I can tell what weather it is, so I don't bother with that. Calendar, I suppose another great function of this, some people say, is that it'll take all your notifications from your smartphone if you've got one. So I've got an iPhone, for example, and this really does, it tells me when there's a call coming, it tells me who the call is, it gives me reminders. If they're text or emails, it displays them, and you can kind of largely read them off the watch if you want to. I never do that. I never use it at all for any kind of notifications, but including, you can view your calendar as well. Don't do it. Notifications, just been through. Golf, I've hidden that. I wish there's a whole kind of golf ecosystem built into the watch and the app and the online scenario, which I'd just love to get rid of. But no, it was a big thing they put in because so many people wanted it. Fine, enjoy. Not my thing. Intensity minutes, how many minutes you've been active. Your last run, I don't need details of my last run on my watch. I kind of look that up in detail afterwards. Last ride, etc., hidden, all those things, but you can have them, and you can put them on there if you want to. So and also you can download different widgets I mentioned. So as well as the ones that are there, you can go online and download additional widgets. Sensors. Again, here you can recalibrate your compass if you want to. Your altimeter, you can have it on or off or active. Same with your barometer, and of course with those two settings you can use the GPS setting if you want to corroborate. The wrist heart rate, you can decide whether in fact you want that on or off, or whether in fact you want it, actually all it has is auto and off. So off means it doesn't work. Auto, let's have a little conversation about this right now. So auto means if you plug in an additional heart rate band, and I'll tell you in a minute why you might want to do that, then the wrist-based sensor turns off. So once you've got this on your chest and it's been detected by the watch, the wrist-based sensor says, well, you don't need two of us, do you? I'll just turn off and conserve battery. So it does that if it's on auto. The other thing it does if it's on auto is it senses if you're not moving or you're inactive, and it says, well, I'm going to assume your heart rate's not going to change much. Now that's very different to something like my Fitbit Charge HR, which just does that all day. It just never stops. Yeah, if we turn this over now, you'll see that it's noticed that there's not a lot going on, and so it's turned off. Now, I wish you could turn it on permanently. I thought you could, but I've not found a way of doing that. So it knows I'm not doing anything, or it knows it's not in contact with me, and it's saying, well, I'm just going to turn off and conserve. Whereas this thing will just take constant readings all day. Whether or not it's accurate is another thing entirely. So that is, I've compared the two readings, and what I'll do is a separate video comparing, as I say, the Garmin and the Fitbits. I haven't found it to be a large problem in terms of comparisons, but it's just something for you to note. So that's that. The Tempi, which is a separate, let me get the right one, separate temperature sensor, and I might do a little review on that maybe. Of course, because you've got the temperature sensor on your watch, if you're wearing this and you're running, well, it's not going to give you an ambient temperature. So there's something here you can either clip to your trainer, or you can clip it to a strap on your bag. Let me show you how it just clips in very, very easily. You've got that thing there, which I just poke it through a couple of laces of my trainer at the bottom, and then this just kind of clips back in there and back on there. Very, very secure. It takes a lot of effort to get that out. I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to fall out accidentally. And that's then an external temperature sensor, which again, got for a song, why not? And then the other thing, of course, which should be on here now as we scroll down, is the that's the heart rate band. So the heart rate band and this next thing, which is the foot pod, I'll tell you about now just very briefly. The reason I got those is because if you want mad sets of data, so for example, your split between how long your left foot is in contact with the ground compared to your right foot, how much time you spend on your left foot compared to your right foot, your average height in lifting your foot off the ground, the stride pattern, the beats per minute of your stride, all sorts of cadence features, huge amounts of data. Obviously, you can only do so much with a watch on your wrist, because it can't pick up that stuff in terms of left foot, right foot, all those kind of activities. Very difficult for it to do. But these two combined will actually give that much greater accuracy. And I got them again because I just found some really good prices. My kind of little rule is, if I can buy it for what I could easily sell it for after fees on eBay, I'll give it a go. Then if it doesn't work out, fine, I'll just stick it on eBay. And that was certainly the case with the Tempe, this foot pod. There are a couple of versions of the foot pod. Make sure you get the latest one. And they do a few different straps. They do just a generic strap. They do an HRM run, which is this one, and they do an HRM try, which is something you use in triathlon. I'm not sure what the difference is. You might want to go and look that up. But HRM run was obviously the one for me because I run. So that's fine. So I got those really and the insane amount of analysis that you get from a simple run is absolutely incredible. And I didn't know, for example, that I actually spend 53% of my time, ground contact time, on my left foot, and only 47% on my right. So that could mean I'm running anti-clockwise, but that often happens not when I'm doing it. It could be that actually I've recently recovered from a broken big toe, and maybe, in fact, I'm compensating. So that's something, obviously, which is inefficient, and I need to monitor over time. And I wouldn't have noticed that had I not had those kind of analyses. And also just your running beats, etc. Very useful to have and to know. If you want to then add more sensors, you can go ahead and do that. But I think at the moment, that's about it for the number of sensors you can have. You've got the Tempe, you've got the separate heart rate monitor, and you've got the foot pod. So that's your sensors. Bluetooth, obviously, that's how you connect your Bluetooth. Wi-Fi is if you connect to, there are two different software, and again, this is typical of Garmin, who you think you could have done it better. There's one app called Connect, and there's another app called, hold on, because I don't even remember what it's called now. Well, we haven't got it open, but it's called Garmin Express. There we go. So there's actually two different apps you can. There's Garmin Connect, which is where you log in online, and when you log in online, you've then got access to all of your data that's been captured by the watch and all your settings, and you can configure some things, but not everything on the watch, and that's then synchronized with your iPhone app. And then you've got the other Garmin app, Garmin Express, which is where when you connect your watch to a USB device and you plug it in, you then have to use Garmin Express as a way of downloading stuff via, if you want to download stuff onto your watch, you do it via Garmin Express, or you can do it via your app. I'm not sure you can do it via Garmin Connect. Oh yes, you can. You can set it to be done via Garmin Connect, but then you have to plug into Garmin Express or go to your app to download it. And you think, again, come on guys, that's just confusing. Why would you have all those different things to do different things? Just have one app that when you plug something in, it picks it up. And do you know, don't confuse everybody. It's the world's confusing enough as it is. Activity tracking, that's where you just kind of turn on activity tracking or not. Move alert I've turned off because it's just very annoying. Goal alert, again, if you set up goals and you want to monitor. It's got go to sleep. It actually has very good sleep tracking, I think. It's much better than the Fitbit. Gives you a bit more detail, and I would say it tracks things. I spend too long in the middle of the night sometimes listening to the World Service because I'm awake. This will often have me as being awake or light sleep, whereas it's much more rudimentary on the Fitbit. It'll just say I was asleep, but clearly I wasn't. You don't have to click go to sleep if you want to go to sleep. It just kind of senses that as well. I don't know why that's there, to be honest with you. Navigation, Again, inside this mat, looking at navigation data screens, again, you can just configure the kind of navigation map screens that you get on screen if you want to configure those things. Again, I just don't use them much. And then system, which we'll come back to in a minute. So we were in apps. We're in settings at the minute, and systems is a subset of settings. So we're in apps. Let's look at some of these apps then. And going inside these, let's look at one which I've configured. Yes, wacky, I don't care. An annoying notification from my phone. And you can't actually decide what you do and don't get. Either you get everything or you get nothing, which again is frustrating because I'd like call alerts, but I don't really want anything else. So let's look at the 5K. So I've designed a 5K run app, which I use when I do my park runs. Okay, so let's go into the design of that. First of all, my data screens. You can have as many as, how many have you got there? You can have as many as, should have gone the other way, 10 data screens, right? So you can scroll through either manually or you can set it to scroll through automatically as many as 10 different screens. And on those different screens, you can have multiple fields or single fields. As well as that, you can have your HR gauge off or on. As well as that, you can have a map off or on. So these are additional screens. So that's 11, that's 12 different screens. As well as that, you've got a virtual partner off or on, which you can set either in terms of what you did last time or in terms of what you're aiming for. And that virtual partner is a literal representation of you versus the stick man in front of you, and you've got to catch it up. Run dynamics, which is all that stuff I spoke about, left foot, right foot, and paces per minute, etc., etc. And again, and a second run dynamics, because there's so much stuff you can have. So you've got, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 different screens you can have, which you could look at for each event you're doing, which is just bonkers. So my first screen for 5K, I've only got one field on it, and that field is distance, which is absolutely fine, because it just comes nice and big. If you've only got one field, it's nice and big. Screen 2 I turned off. Screen 3 is on. Layout, one field, and I've got the timer. So distance, time, and you can probably guess what screen 4 is going to be. It's on, one field, and pace. And now what that means is, essentially, what's happening is that I've got 3 screens, and I've set them to cycle every 3 seconds, so I can just look at my watch, and it flicks through between how far I've got in terms of my 5K, how long it's taken me, what my pace is. Now, when you're looking at the different fields you can have in each of those displays, you've obviously got massive variations in terms of what you can put down. And each of these have sub-menus as well, and you can decide, it doesn't all have to be metric or whatever isn't metric, miles and stuff. You can mix and match as you want to do. So it's just the flexibility is just huge. So that's the data screens on my 5K run app. Alerts on my 5K run app. I've added a distance alert. So basically, when I get to 4.8 kilometers, I want it to let me know. So basically, I can sprint the last portion of the run, the last 200 meters, and just kind of empty the tank. Now you can add all sorts of alerts. There are custom ones, which are, drink at this point, eat at this point, turn around, go home. That should just pop up automatically when I'm doing a 5K, go home. And of course you can base those on distance, or you can base those on time, or you can base those on heart rate. So you can say, actually, if my heart rate goes above a certain level, eat, or after 5 minutes, remind me to drink, if you're going on a long run or something. And again, you can there's so many different prompts or alerts you can get based on all sorts of things, which is just fantastic. So that's alerts within my 5K running app. Metronome. If you want to run to a particular cadence, you can set a metronome to beep, 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 and it'll blip or it'll vibrate. Let's just a segue on vibration. I have to say that the vibration on the Fitbit HR is much better. It's stronger and it's more powerful. don't think you'll miss it on this vibrating, but it is much more of a softer vibrate. I wish it had been more powerful. The beeps, you may as well forget it, because if you're outside running and puffing and there's stuff going on, you're never going to hear any of the beeps or the noises that this thing makes. So you're only relying on the vibration. The vibrate on the Fitbit, I have to say, is just it's better. It's just much more of a harder vibration. Still not as good as the taptic feedback that you get on an Apple Watch, but hey ho, I haven't got an Apple Watch. So that's metronome. Auto lap, and I've said yes, and what that basically means, it's a way of telling you every 1K to give you some feedback. And what I've said is auto lap, auto distance, lap alert, let me know. And what it does, auto pace is off, auto climb off, 3D, I haven't bothered with any of the 3D stuff, which again is kind of graphical representations of what you're doing, etc., etc. Lap key basically tells you what lap you're on. GPS will be on, and you know, you can so much, you can just configure absolutely everything of each data field on each screen. It just is absolutely bonkers. So we're still in my 5K run there, and we've gone through the data screens I wanted, the alerts I've got, the metronome, the lap indications. Quite why the lap indication isn't an alert, it's just the way they've set it up. It could have been an alert, but hey, that's just too easy. So that's the apps configuration. Yep, so I'm going to go back. If you remember, we were in the settings menu, and I was configuring my apps. So I wasn't using an app there, I was configuring an app. That's where you configure a watch face. I won't bother taking you through. Remember, we have apps, which are kind of record things that you do. The widgets are a way of telling you what's going on at a particular point in time. Sensors, went into sensors, didn't I? I just want to go and show you something. Is GPS in here, or is it somewhere else? It might be here. Hold on. Compass. No. I need to find, I'll find something for you, because I want to tell you something which you must do on your watch when you get one. Anyway, we're still in, if you remember, the settings menu, and I'm going to go to system now. Here we go, it'll be in here. So settings, system is where you configure your user profile, which is just basically your age, your height, any other key stats that you feel it needs to have. Hotkeys just means that those two keys there, that key there, that key there, they have a function if you press them, but if you hold them, they have an alternative function. In fact, all of the keys have different functions. If you hold that key there, it takes you to a menu where you can either lock your phone so none of the keys make any difference, or you can do not disturb, or you can just power the thing off. If I hold that key there where my thumb is, it takes me back to the watch face, and if I hold that key there, it brings up this menu system that we're in. But and you can configure all of these, most of them anyway. These two hotkeys I've got configured at the minute, so if I hold that one, it brings up a stopwatch. If I hold that one, it brings up a configurable countdown timer. So again, it just shortcuts to different things. Auto lock off, so again, I don't want the buttons ever to be locked. Why would you want that? Language, if you just want to change your language, well, that's absolutely fine. Enjoy yourself. Time as opposed to clock is just really about 24-hour, etc., etc. Set time auto, so it picks it up from the online. Backlight is where you decide how your backlight operates and how long for. Sounds is where you do things like, I don't have, as I'm going through menus now, I don't have sounds, but then within apps, I will have sounds. So again, you can change that there. Units is where you decide, you know, how you want your pace and your speed and your elevation, and you can mix and match between metric and it's gone. It's really annoying. Tell me what I should be saying in the comments. Metric and standard. Imperial. Yeah, thanks for that. GLONASS. That is apparently an additional Russian GPS tracking system, which is better than the standard ones that we use. And that's an additional system you can turn on, which overall improves your GPS accuracy. Great idea. As far as I know, it doesn't really drain much of their batteries. If you look online, people say 5%, I don't know, I've not, again, I use this vigorously, and I get a good 5 days before I think, I should charge that boy. Position format, just again, it's configuring the sat nav readouts. I'll just so you know. So there you go. If you want to, if that means anything to you, well, it just doesn't. Life's too short. Other sorts of formats: pace, speed preferences, start day of the week. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Start day of the week, Sunday I've got, etc. You can just do everything. Data recording, every second or smart. I put it on every second. There's a bit of debate online. A good place to go, by the way, when you get one of these is the Garmin forums. Just put Garmin forums into Google. And there's a separate forum for this watch and also for the software apps that are online, etc. And it's a good place to go to ask different questions like, well, okay, so data recording between smart and every second, what's the difference? I thought it would make that thing come on permanently, but obviously it doesn't. And again, there just isn't a consensus. There's nothing in the manual, and there isn't a consensus online as to what the difference that makes. Again, come on, Garmin, sort out. The hardware guys really are just streets ahead of the kind of human interface guys. It feels a little bit. USB mode just means you can recognize this. That's a bit of a funny one, really, because you could actually dump files on this watch if you want to. I haven't done, but you could do. And then, restore defaults. That isn't a factory reset. There is a way of doing a factory reset. I won't bother telling you here. Software updates, if you try and do that, it'll just say you need to plug it in and connect. But actually, it works very well, automatically updating itself anyway. So that's systems. Anything else that takes us back to where we were. We went through training, clock. That's where you'd set an alarm clock, if you like. And again, you can have blippy or buzzy, silent buzzy kind of things. Stopwatch, I've got a hotkey there. Alerts, just general alerts. I've got a sunset alert. For some reason, I've just, not sunrise, but sunset alert. Yes, by all means, tell me when it's 10 minutes before sunset. You never know. For those of you who might live in Transylvania might need that feature, I don't know. But there are, all those different settings we've been through. Short and the long of it, we've been going for 40 minutes now, and all I've done is take you through a lot of the features, not everything, but a lot of the features. It's a very expensive bit of kit, but it's a brilliant bit of kit. Would I get an Apple Watch? Well, an Apple Watch doesn't have a GPS in. I don't want to carry my phone around with me. I like having on a big display what pace I'm going at. So if I'm trying to bang out, say, a personal best in the 5K, I need to know what pace I need to beat, and I need to be able to get feedback as to whether I'm doing it. And this really does that. Maybe you can do that on an iPhone, but for me that doesn't work as well as this. I don't find it so big. I've worn it. It's, again, my only struggle personally is I love this watch on the right here. This was the watch I spent my life up until I got it kind of looking for in terms of the watch bit of my life, which isn't extensive, but I just love it. It's a nice analog sapphire display. This has got sapphire crystal too, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but sapphire crystal display, and I just love wearing it. And it kind of fitted with my Fitbit because you can wear these two together. You can wear this on one wrist and that on the other wrist, and nobody thinks you're weird. But this then gave me all the kind of a lot of techie bits, but it just didn't do enough. It didn't give me the detail that only this gives me. But of course, you can't wear those two together. So my challenge is, and I don't know, maybe you can put this in the comments below. Do I wear these two on a daily basis all day, and then just use this for running? In which case, as I've got the heart rate strap, why did I bother with the Fenix 3HR? Why didn't I just get a much cheaper Fenix? Good question. Or do I wear this and just kind of put this on for dressy occasions? It's completely unacceptable, I think, that I wear these two because that's just bonkers. I don't know. It's tough. It's interesting that as an Apple fanboy, I've never ever thought of buying an Apple Watch. I don't know, it's just never crossed my mind. Partly because I like the idea of sleep tracking, and if you've got to put the Apple Watch on charge every night because the battery power is so bad, that wouldn't help. And also the fact that if you're going to get one with a sapphire display, you're then looking at £500 or £600 minimum, which is a lot of money. Not much more than this, I might add, but more than this with a nice sapphire display. So I don't know. I mean, at the moment, again, I bought this at a price, as I mentioned to you earlier on. I could sell this on quite easily. So I'll give it a go. I'll give it a see what happens. I'm really liking. It's helped my run so far. It's helped me improve. It's helped me get a personal best. The first Saturday I had it, I got a personal best in the park run. And that was down to the watch and me being able to monitor exactly where I was and just pushing when I needed to push, which just got me past my PB. Display's okay. Any downsides? Well, I wish you could have the constant HR. It just annoys me that it's off now. I haven't told it to be off, and I'll often be sat there with it off, and you think, well, don't estimate my heart rate. I want you to know. That's interesting because this picked up a few weeks ago now. I had an elevated heart rate while I was sitting at my desk for no reason at all, which is not something that should normally happen. It turned out to be nothing, but looking at the stats on this, it picked it up, and my heart rate suddenly, my resting heart rate's kind of mid to late 40s, and for some reason it was up there at 120 for about 20 minutes. That shouldn't be happening. It turned out to be nothing, so everything's okay. But of course, this would never pick that up. If I'm just sat at my desk, that thing's off. So from my point of view, that's not very good. It's got huge potential. It's new. They're improving the apps and everything else almost on a daily basis. There's loads of stuff you can download for it to kind of tailor it. You can get different color straps. You can get leather straps. You can get metal straps. You can get, all sorts of glitzy stuff to make it. I wouldn't run with a metal strap. That'd be an absolute disaster. I ran with that once. It almost amputated my arm, I have to say. Yeah, I like it. I'm wittering on now. If you're bored, just switch off. But don't switch off without subscribing and looking at my other videos and leaving me a comment if you've got anything to add. Because if I've missed anything, please let me know. If I've got anything wrong, please let me know. If there's anything you want to add about how I do any of the things I'm doing with this watch better, then please let me know in the comments below. If you like it, give a tick. Tell me why you like it. If you don't like it, thumbs down, and tell me why you don't like it. Because again, the whole point of doing this is I wish this video had been there when I was looking and buying this watch, but it wasn't. So I just went through a good few hours of pain. And if this saves you even the 47 minutes now you've spent watching it, then great. Thank you very much for your time, and let me know if I can answer any further questions.